Here it is, the king of bench bars' latest iteration, combining the innovative designs of Kabuki with the quality, service, and high-end touches of Rogue. But does this collaboration evolve and upgrade an already premium bar? And is it now easier to justify that price tag? Because with a bar like this, you'd better be certain before you make a purchase, especially with so many new cambered barbell options out there. Rogue and Kabuki have made some tweaks with this version, so we're going to highlight those as we try to determine if this is still the best cambered multi-grip bench bar out on the market. Now, there's a lot of reasons you might want a bar like this. They're a great way to impress your neighbors, and isn't that the entire reason you started a home gym? You weren't big enough to impress the guys at a commercial gym, but you know Bernice next door is staring at you while you bench with the garage doors open, wondering if you can carry her upstairs as easily as her chairlift does. But to be honest, I've always thought this bar was too expensive for what it is. And even though Rogue has definitely upgraded it, I still feel that way a little bit now, but hear me out before you switch to another video just to validate a choice you've already made. I gave Kabuki a little bit of leeway when this thing was new. After all, it was the first of its kind, and it was a big, well thought out evolution of this type of bar. There wasn't as much competition then, and Kabuki wasn't quite the company they are now. But it was and is a lot of money for a specialty bar that you're realistically only going to do a few exercises with. Now that Rogue is manufacturing this, I was hoping the price would get adjusted some, like with Ghost Strong and their roller cups. Granted, Rogue hasn't acquired Kabuki like Ghost, but I was still hoping that price would be adjusted based on those reasons I just stated. Which, by the way, we've got a big comparison coming between Ghost, 1211, and Irwin's rollers, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on that one. One of the big benefits of cambered bars, which I find is often overlooked, is that they want to balance themselves when you're using them, which is great for pressing movements like bench or overhead press. But it also tends to make other motions where the bar isn't moving vertically a bit of an issue because it still wants to correct itself. And as you add weight, like in a curl for example, you're using your wrist to fight that rotation. I really use that example every single time just so I can show off my biceps. There's 100 other exercises I could show, but I won't. That benefit is shown best when compared to a flat multi-grip bar, where you'll spend a lot of effort and energy attempting to keep the bar stable. It's also an issue I had with Rogue's MG4C bar. It's too wide and something I jumped on in my review of it. So when Rogue announced the new narrow version, not only did I take all of the credit I didn't deserve for the change, I also exchanged mine for the new narrow version. So let me know in the comments if you want me to do an updated review on that bar. And if you purchased one of the first waves of that bar and you also want to exchange it, all you do is email Rogue and send them everything back except the sleeves. You do have to pay shipping to get it there, but they pay return shipping to get it back to you, and it's a hell of a move on Rogue's part. And sure, you could argue they'd look bad if they didn't offer it, but I still give Rogue a lot of credit, and it's one of the reasons I got so excited when Rogue got involved with Kabuki on this bar. Their customer service is an upgrade. But balance isn't the only reason you might want a bar like this. That camber is a big reason people push this style of bar. I just accidentally made a pun. What am I becoming? Anyway, people love to praise that extra range of motion these bars provide, which can help with your low-end pressing strength or even be useful with rows, and that's true. But for me personally, the biggest benefit is in the handles. By rotating your grip versus a straight bar, it can take some stress off your wrists and put your shoulders and elbows into a better position for pressing. And for many people, because of injuries, it's the only way they can bench. But for me, I predominantly use this style of bar in my training so I can safely add volume and variety and hopefully never have to work around an injury. The most important part of this review is how this bar feels, and I'm sure I'm missing an innuendo in there.
It will feel like nothing else you felt.
But I really like the Caddy for how well it performs for me. It's very well balanced with its 7-inch wide frame, and for my build, the 3 sets of handles and different angles on each pair of handles work very well. And it allows for more variety and pressing volume in my workouts, which in a home gym is a big deal. We're working with a more limited equipment selection versus a commercial gym, so keeping things varied and interesting can be difficult. I use these bars a lot for close grip work to focus on the triceps. And this middle grip here is my go-to alternative to a straight barbell bench, which is where you'll start feeling some of that extra range of motion from this camber, which at 3.5 inches is one of the deepest you'll find on the market. But just like with Rep's Cambered Swiss bar, you'll never actually feel that full depth. And that's because the handles are raised a little bit into the frame. Now, this outside set of handles is where you'll feel the biggest stretch and get the biggest range of motion. And for me, it's bordering on the line where I feel like it's almost starting to stress my joints. But not everyone is built the same, and there are people who have issues with bars like these. So just because some reviewer tells you it's great, doesn't mean it's going to be great for you. Now, I have run this thing through a lot of workouts, and as always, I force my friends and people I work out with to test it, from my buddy Matt, who's 6'2", 250 pounds, down to Winnie, who's 5'6", and I'm not saying how much she weighs because I'd like to live through the night, and we all found it comfortable to use, though for Winnie, the wide grip was a bit much on her shoulders. Not everyone's preference in girth is the same, but we didn't get a lot of complaints when we had everyone wrap their hands around these big beefy handles, which are 1.33 inches or around 34 millimeters. Now, I don't really have an issue with other cambered multi-grip bars like the Bells of Steel Arch Nemesis bar with its 29 millimeter handles, but there are a lot of people who prefer thicker handles for their pressing movements. Speaking of other cambered multi-grip bars, if you didn't subscribe before when I talked about purchasing more roller cups than I can use, which by the way was entirely for you, I don't have a problem. I can stop purchasing things when I want. Well, you're gonna wanna subscribe so you don't miss out on our huge cambered multi-grip bar throwdown, which I spent, well, I don't really want to say how much because Winnie's going to watch this and well, it was in the thousands. Actually, you know, that's not really important, but we're going to do a big breakdown where we rank all of these bars versus Rogue, Bells of Steel, Titan, Rep Fitness, and I'll leave it open to see if someone can convince me to buy another of these bars in the comments. We got a lot of requests on Instagram asking what the difference is between Kabuki's and Rogue's bars are. And to be honest with you, if you're buying new, nothing. Rogue now makes all of them, but it did take me a while to come to that decision. I spent about an hour of my free time making a chart, researching, debating my life choices, and comparing specs, just to realize Rogue now manufactures all of them. And it's not that I'm stupid, that's beside the point, but Kabuki really needs to update their listing. They've got pics with knurling on the bar, which is what clued me in on Rogue making it, but at one point it says made in Oregon and another made in Ohio. One spot the dimensions will be different, and the next match Rogue. I'm going on record and saying Rogue now makes and ships every single Cadillac bar, which is actually a good thing because before, Kabuki's lead times could often be in the months, and Rogue has better machining capabilities and can keep up with demand, and it also allows you to take advantage of Rogue service, which is why I would purchase through Rogue, and it has nothing to do with the fact that I only have an affiliate link through them. But what people were really asking before was, what's the difference between the older Cadillac version and this one? To be clear, there have been a few changes made to the bar over the years, like moving the center X brace to the base of the frame, which makes the weight sit more comfortable when you're pressing, but the frame's still a little bit sharp, and it's like a friggin' guillotine if you let it roll near your head. So if you're shopping for a new one, just be aware of those differences, but the only change people really cared about is the addition of the knurling. To be clear, I've never been particularly impressed by knurling once it's covered in powder coat. It fills it in too much, but this one's pretty decent, and in my opinion, it's an upgrade over the textured powder coat Kabuki used to use on this bar. Because sometimes that powder coat, if you used it for a long time, could wear away a little bit and become slick if you're one of those disgusting, sweaty people. The other change that may help you, since Rogue's doing all the legwork here, is to me it's about $50 cheaper shipped than it has been recently at $550. And again, it doesn't matter where you buy it from, Rogue's sending this thing out, and it's always been made in the US. The build quality is good, and it's only been improved with Rogue making these. The packaging is great, and it's pretty easy to assemble. It has very nice welds and a well done powder coat finish on the frame, and the machining on the Olympic size sleeves look great. And those sleeves allow you to use normal sized collars, which isn't always true on specialty bars like this, though they are a bit loud when loading and unloading plates because they're hollow and ribbed. And while the zinc finish is an upgrade over a lot of specialty bars that normally have powder coat, it will still wear away some over time. And another thing I should mention with these bars is the fit between racks. It fits very well in 43-inch interior width racks like Rogue's, but this might not be the only time you were left wishing you had another inch, because it's a really tight fit in a 41-inch interior width rack like Rep's or Titan's 3x3 options. Honestly, it's hard to praise the build quality much, because although it's good, at this price you'll have high expectations, and deservedly so. It's a very expensive bar, no way around it. And sure, Rogue's MG4 bar makes it look like a little bit more of a bargain, which is a hell of an accomplishment. It's a hard bar to recommend to the masses at this price. Now, is it worth upgrading to or purchasing? Because of the added knurling, production quality, and speed Rogue brings to the table, this is the best version of this bar out there, and I do really like it. If you already own it, I probably wouldn't go attempting to upgrade to this one, though there are some subtle changes. I don't think it's worth the money you'd probably lose in between. Now, if you already own it or can get your hands on it, I do really like this bar. I think it's great, but you're gonna have to get over the price a little bit, because in my opinion, it's still a bit much for what you're getting. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to help boost us on that algorithm. I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.